It's Enrico Pallazzo!
Utah, give me 2.
Pallazzo!
Utah, give me 2.
Here we are. We are at the 4th annual 2025 Bozo Fest. I got the two main Bozos right above me. On the screen above me on my left, it feels like on my right, but I can't tell with the cyber world. I got Mike Virginia, Mike VA. Say hi to the people. Tell everybody where they can find you real quick.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Pallazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's. I'm on Twitter /X.
Give me 2.
_ Yeah, that's right. @ Mike VA. And then I'm going to pass it that way. Oh, you like that, Britton? First
pass
time.
The microphone, baby.
I did it. I'm going to pass it over to my boy, Britton.
Let's make it happen.
We've only been working on that, Sam, for 3 years, and we finally perfected it. It's not the way you think it is. That's how.
And Mike, look at
that
in
the mirror.
I got it, baby.
What's up, everybody? I'm Britton Allen at Britton Allen. Please follow me on X. It's great to be here. Sam, what's up, my friend? Mike VA, what's up? Also, why am I giddy? You know why. It's opening day eve. I love it. I broke my Mariner shirt out. Let's go, Rowdy Talese.
Orioles.
Mike V's got his Orioles shirt on. Hope springs eternal. Shout out,
That's
Alexander
right.
Pope.
Everybody. I even, in this offseason have said as a wild thing that I think the Oakland A's have a shot at not only the playoffs, but winning it all. And so hope does spring eternal, right? Like we are, this is our Christmas Eve. We call it opening day Eve. We are all excited. We're ready to unwrap some presents, have actionable data, smell the grass, eat the hot dogs, drink the beer. Like, I'm ready. Before we get into the crazy real quick, Mike, what are you working on right now? And tell us one good thing that you're looking forward to this year in the season.
Absolutely. So for those of you guys who haven't, or new followers or haven't been following me, I'm going to be releasing daily notes recapping the night before. So we talk about player analysis, trends, holder folds, right? A bunch of cool segments on there. So make sure you guys follow along, tag along. And for those of you guys who are new to the Pallazzo Podcast or checking us out for the first time, we do shows on Mondays. We do shows on Fridays, and we also do shows on Sundays as well. So make sure you guys are checking us out. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the Pallazzo Podcast YouTube channel. We'd really, really appreciate it. But yeah, and then one thing that I'm looking forward to this year, and I said it last year, I'll say it again. I love the youth movement of baseball. I love the fact that we're getting all the young guys up. I love that.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely, absolutely. That reminds me of that terrible line from Dazed and Confused that prospects stay the same age and I get older, whatever it is. So yeah, youth does spring eternal, and I'm really excited. There's some players last year like James Wood and Merrill and Jackson Merrill, and we've got Churio in Milwaukee that I want to see those next steps. You, Mike, root for a team that is chock full of this opportunity with a lot of seasoned veterans, some young players that have really taken hold of some opportunities, and some real exciting names coming up. So yeah, I'm sure you're excited this season. Youth does spring eternal. Britton, my man, what have you been up to? What are you up to? And tell me one thing you're looking forward to for the season.
I'm looking forward to me and Mike V's Fabulous YouTube show every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon. We did it all last year. It was a lot of fun. Please come join us. Join the Pallazzo YouTube so you subscribe so you get all the notifications. And then also every Friday, Friday-ish, we'll do the main podcast too. That'll be dropped on where you can listen to podcasts and also on YouTube as well. But Sam, I'm very excited on many levels. One of them is because Tyler O'Neill, who's on the team of our friend Mike V over on this side, has hit a home run on opening day 5 years in a row. The record is Frank Robinson, who did it 8 times. Now we're going. So
2 other people.
Willie Mays and Eddie Matthews. So it's, what do you think, Mike V? Tyler O'Neill, let's do this, baby.
Take it to the bank, buddy.
Take it to the DraftKings bank. Let's go. We better be plus money.
Cedric will be watching from the bench. He'll be cheering him on from there.
Right.
when Tyler hits that on. So look at this. Look at this. Ask and you shall receive. Here we are. The Bozo Fest is starting to warm up. Above me to my this way, I got Big Ben, Gentle Ben Chase. And to my that way, I've got two new people. I've got Owen Hurd and Matt Morris. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to the Bozo Fest. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Hi, Matt.
What's up, Owen?
All right.
Hey, folks. I just decided I come on. I hear Britton talking about young people, and we had a really fun time talking about catchers here recently. This last during our Big Three Next Three shows, and every time that a non-Venezuelan catcher came up, we had to mention Britton because
absolutely
he seems to believe that all decent catchers come from Venezuela. So we like to prove him wrong.
I mean, there is something to that for sure. We can explore that later. The youth movement here that we're talking about is the anti-Coors Field effect. They seem to be signing all the old people there. So apologies to any Rockies fans that are here. If there's any left on the planet, all the love. They had such a great team in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was a real shame to see where they went. Matt and Owen, welcome. I'm asking everybody, what are you working on and what are you looking forward this year for the baseball season? Owen, let's start with you. And let's also tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, so my handle's actually in my name there. It's at Owen_FPB on X. Where I'm working or just anything specific I'm working on?
Anything you want to talk about, man. Be specific.
Okay. So I'm gonna be getting some live looks at Big Ten baseball in April and May. So that's gonna be something to look forward to. Gonna get to see Devin Taylor and Corbin Dickerson are the big two I'm excited to see. But other than that, I'm writing Prospects Live and Scout the Stat Line. So going to be having a lot of content coming out this year. I think that's all I got for now.
Very cool. So what are you looking forward to this year?
My Red Sox making the World Series. Fingers crossed.
There you go.
That's a popular pick. I heard Mark, the D-Row guy on MLB Tonight, picked them to win the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone can really bet against the Dodgers at this point, but I think this team gives me a lot of shades of 2018.
They've got some real opportunities there, and if a couple of those young players, if Christian Robinson is even 85%, 80% of what we hope he's going to be at second base, and the whole Devers thing doesn't really affect his ability to stay there mentally. They've got a ton of other fun young talent. And they've got deep pitching. They actually, as shitty as it is to pitch at Fenway, they have a deep roster of serviceable starters.
And guys,
and didn't they just sign somebody this offseason who was halfway decent?
Walker Buehler.
Yeah, Garrett Crochet.
That's a pretty solid. And Garrett Crochet, they got in trade, and now
there you go.
Healthy, and the depth there is going to be fun. And frankly, I want to see the combination of notable good guy Liam Hendricks and notable pain in the butt Aroldis Chapman at the back of that bullpen and see how they work.
I'm rooting for Liam, but that's how I'm built. Matt, tell everybody where they can find you, what you're working on right now that you're excited about, and what you're looking forward to this year in the baseball season.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Owen and I both come from Scout the Stat Line. You can find me, same thing as Owen said, handle Matt_E_Morris. This year, though, probably not as much content being written. I'm deeper in the podcast game now. It kind of holds up the majority of my time, and I love it, right? This is fun. This is why we do this. It's still enjoyable, and we like to talk about our players and ball. This year, though, kind of different from last few years. I've really been excited in the last 2-3 years about the prospects, right? You talked about Churio, James Wood, like really getting to see what they can do at the major league level. This year, I'm actually more excited about the post-hype guys, the Brett Baddies, Jordan Walker, Victor Scott. Can this group bounce back to the prospect pedigree and form that we once had on them? Because if they can, there is immense value.
There was. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. There was a conversation I heard earlier today where they were talking about how hard it is for young hitters to really be able to translate their abilities at the plate against major league pitching, and what used to maybe take a season or a half season, some people are taking 2 or 3 years to come out. I mean, look at Victor Robles in Seattle. he just needed a change of scenery. You know, we still have players like Jared Kelnick and Torkelson who came up around the same time that, you know, Kelnick may have played his way out of any kind of luster, but would anybody be really surprised if this year was his year? He figured it out in 2020, because everybody would be like, oh yeah, that's the Jared Kelnick that we saw, you know, in the YouTube videos where he's, you know, throwing a Frisbee and hitting a baseball and hitting the Frisbee, right? Like that's that guy we were looking at. So
it'd be nice, because then my Braves could just get rid of Marcell Ozuna and make me happy to cheer for him again. So
you even have guys like Jerks and Profar finally living up to the hype of almost 30. So I mean, if it were up to me, you take away I don't want to hear the word bust about anybody under the age of 25. Yeah. I think you see a lot of these guys. It's like, I think that, you know, if you take MLB X in a nutshell, it's like top prospect mashing in AAA, so therefore he must hit the ground running, and if he doesn't within 60 games, he's a bust. And it's like, you know, it's funny because Mark Vientos actually played more minor league games than Brett Batty did. So it's like, it's almost one of those things you have to remember that, you know, development is not always linear, especially when it comes to hitters.
That is the big phrase.
Absolutely. Correct. It is not linear. No,
that is our totally going to say that.
Rocky
like
Mountain
Nick
High.
Nick Martini.
What'd you say, Britton?
Nothing.
I'm trying to sing my Rocky Mountain Robbie in.
There you go.
What's up, Robbie? How you doing, man?
Say hi to everybody. Show us your face, coward.
What? Excuse me? Excuse me?
I'm feeling froggy today, man. I apologize.
I've decided to be a Rocky fan for the year, and this is all the purple I got and the Rockies hat, okay? Because nothing could be worse than being a Blue Jay fan. So
there you go. Blue Jays have chips in their history. Like, don't talk to me about that's the word. Like, just get out of here with that. I don't want to hear that. Hey, real quickly, I got to do the disclaimers and the corporate stuff for Pallazzo. So real quick, I want to say we have Discord. Come be a part of it. Mike, do you know how to sign up for that?
Yeah, it's on our YouTube channel, so make sure you guys check that out. The link to subscribe would be in that, and again, it's free. Don't have to pay for anything. A lot of cool channels in there. Everybody's in there. So if you have questions about your fantasy baseball team throughout the season, whatever it may be, engage with the folks in there. A lot of great minds.
Yeah, a lot of great diverse minds there talking about stuff. You can email us at palazzopodcast@gmail.com. In the Discord, we do Q&A with a number of members of the Pallazzo Podcast and group. Patreon, there's a Patreon. $3 gets you a foot in the door for some great content, behind the scenes stuff. We have a YouTube channel that we're very proud of. Obviously, we're here out there. So please, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, do all the, you know, rate us if you can, give us 1 million stars. We love it and appreciate it. I think that's all the corporate stuff.
Yeah. So, real quick, I wanted to quickly do this because I promised everybody we would. For those of you guys who don't know, I did a giveaway. So we're going to do 2 giveaways right now. I'm going to share my screen with everybody. I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to spin this wheel. All right. And the first giveaway that we're going to do is going to be for the MLB jersey of your choosing. So for those of you guys who liked, retweeted, subscribe to the YouTube, the Pallazzo Podcast YouTube, this is what we're doing here now. So for those of you guys watching, we're going to spin it. Here we go.
Spin that wheel. Isn't that what they say on Wheel of Fortune?
That's right.
No way.
Oh, all right. There it is. We have a winner. It is at Donnie SAV78. So congratulations, my friend. We'll reach out. Congratulations. You get to pick the jersey of your choosing. And then next, Britton, if you wanted to show the cam there, what we're giving away.
All right. So if you listen to the Pallazzo show with me, Mike V, and Govier, we talk a lot about a pitcher named Ryan Pepio, a.k.a. the Piss Missile, a.k.a. the urine stain mattress. It's a long story. Please tune in and we'll tell you what that means. But he is a pitcher. And so I've got his auto card with 127 out of 150. It is a very important and special card to our broadcast, but we are giving it away here in honor of opening day eve. And I'm also giving it away because him pitching in a Florida minor league park is absolutely going to kill his season. So we're going ahead and get rid of it before the season starts. All right, Mike.
Get the wheel.
Here we go.
So fancy.
Oh, there we go. All right. So the winner of the Ryan Pepio autograph card is at 777 Pingo. So we will reach out. We'll get an address from you and we'll send it your way. But thank you guys for entertaining me on that. We will reach out for the jersey and the card.
All right.
All right. So we're gonna add Mike Couillard to the stream here. What's up, Mike?
Hello. How's it going, guys? How you doing?
What up?
Good. How are you?
Nice to see you. Mike, say hello to everybody and where they can find you.
Hey, everybody. I am Mike Coulard, and I am over at Razball writing on the weekends doing waiver wire fab articles. And I also have a podcast over there called Cards and Categories that Sam was on earlier this year during our AL West preview. We do both baseball cards and fantasy baseball talk, as well as just all baseball in general. So come check us out. Britton, we drafted against each other in at FPAS, so I know we were sitting right next to each other. Great to see you again.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That's right. Great to see you, too. I believe I yelled at you at one point. I didn't mean anything by it.
No, it's okay. We were snaking the hell out of each other in that draft. So that's what happens when you're live.
That is true. So I'm happy because you are a Chicago White Sox fan, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a White Sox and firstly St. Louis Cardinals because I grew up in Central Illinois, but I live in Chicago now, so I've adopted them as my second team.
Awesome. I remember that. It's good to see you again. Thank you for not being mad at me for yelling at you, but frankly, it was your fault.
I mean, yeah, there's a few libations involved, and the emotions got the best of us. It's tough in those draft rooms.
Yeah. Somebody sniped Rhett Lauder in front of me, or was it Tobias Myers? I can't remember. Somebody like that, but now they're both hurt. So, sometimes it just works out.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is. That was one of, I'm looking at the draft board right now. You went, somebody did snipe Myers on us because I wanted him as well. Is in that last 23rd round before we wrapped up.
That's
in
exactly
FPAS.
right.
Myers, you took Lauder. Mine was Roki Sasaki.
There you go. Hey, I want to get into a little bit of content here. We got a bunch of people watching us here. Go ahead, Sam.
I've got something for the three of you on the screen, Matt, Owen, and Mike. I got three outfielders that were drafted at 102, 103, and 107. That's their average ADP. I've got Riley Green, Christian Yelich, and Mike Trout. Take somebody. Tell me who you like more than the others. You can only pick one. You can pick the same person. I'm going to start with you, Matt. So by the time we get to you, Mike, it might not. You guys might all be on the same guy. But Matt, out of those three, who are you looking at?
It sounds crazy, but it goes Yelich, Trout, Green. And I think we get 140 games from Yelich. I think we get 140 games from Trout. And I think Riley Green isn't close to those two when you get that many games. The back appears to be back for Yelich, no pun intended.
Wow.
Incredible spring. He hasn't come out necessarily and said, hey, I'm fully back, because he doesn't know, right? It's a back injury. The surgery was successful. What we've seen in spring, and it is spring, indicates that Yelich is back. The power is there. And if the power is there and he can give us 140 games, we're talking about a potential MVP. And Trout, same thing. Green just isn't there yet.
Yeah. Okay. Owen?
I'm going to strongly disagree with Matt on there, and I would take Riley Green comfortably over the other two there. For me, that's the range I'm looking for: youth and upside, and I think Riley Green has plenty of that. The hard hit and the power metrics are elite, in my opinion. The walk rate is going to aid his OBP a bit, in my opinion. It gives him a better floor than I think a lot of people will perceive. So, to me, give me Riley Green there, and it really would not surprise me if we see him get into those MVP talks this year.
Okay, Mike, are you going to take Trout, or are you going to agree with one of the guys?
I am. I'm gonna take Mike Trout here. They're actually right next to each other, all in the player rater, Razball player rater for 2025. Honestly, like back to back, maybe with Adulas Garcia wedged in there. But I'm going Trout. It's just the upside play here that he looks great. He's healthy, and I just can't let it go yet. That I think coming into this year, I have a little bit of doubt in terms of Riley Green. Just I don't like that park. I don't like playing in Detroit early. And Christian Yelich, I don't know what it is, but the back does scare me more than the knee for Trout right now. So I love that Trout looked good in spring, and I'm rolling with him right now.
All right. I would say that you are all wrong. There's reasons to not draft any one of those three players. One plays in Detroit and the other two can't stay on the field for a full season consistently. But I think it highlights just how hard it is to get real good production in the preseason in outfield, and how different we are all looking at that position, because all three of you had very strong and good reasons for going the way that you drafted. It would be very easy to be in a draft room with the three of you, because one would take one would take the other. You know, there's that nice thing to it. But do you gentlemen above me, anybody on the Pallazzo Podcast, have an opinion about those players strongly or not strongly?
Mike V hates Christian Yelich. He's on record. So
I'm not a fan. I'm with Owen on this. This is also where the area I target youth, and the guys like Trout and Yelich for me. And while I do agree with Matt, you know, if he gives us 140 games, I think that would surprise me, for one. But two, I think the upside alone with Yelich is obviously great. I love the Brewers lineup, but the back scares me too much. I'm with Mike on that. And with Trout, the same thing. I think obviously everyone knows the prime years of Trout are gone, but he still got 40 homer pop. I just don't like the team context as well. But number one for me would be Riley Green. He's looked awesome in spring, and I would not be surprised if he jumped up into the top 60 picks next year. With his upside and how young he is. So, but I'll kick it over to my right over here to Britton. Britton, which of those three do you like the most?
Riley Green, he gets better every single year. He's shown improvement. I think he's about to lift off into cyberspace, into crypto. Yeah, I don't know what any of that stuff is, but I think Riley Green is a great hitter. You know, he had that weird foot injury, but I think all that stuff's past him. I think the Tigers are up and coming. I love Riley Green. Trout's super old. He hasn't played over 100 games in 5 years, or once in 5 years. Christian Yelich is awesome. And I'm just going to keep bringing that up because it makes Mike V so mad. But Christian Yelich is also going to have a great season. But I'll let my friend Ben over here weigh in. What do you say, Ben?
So if I were to tell you that you could get a player to, over a course of 2 years, hit 315, 371, 526 with 43 home runs, and to lead the league in RBI one of those 2 years, would you be interested in a player like that?
I think so. That sounds interesting.
That is what Kirby Puckett did when he moved to right field. And my thoughts there are just that Trout has been dinking and struggling with injuries, and Puckett was on a crap Twins team at that point. And so he led the league in RBI on a really bad Twins team in 94. That is something just to keep in mind, that moving to right field for some reason, that just does something, that moving down on the defensive spectrum as you're in a lower age or different part of the age bracket. We all know how life works like that. You know, I don't go and lift the weights that I used to. For some reason, they don't go up as easy as they once did. You know, that's just life. Life happens. And, you know, I will say part of that could also be there's a decade that, God, I wish I had Mike Trout on my teams and I never did. And so maybe it's just, I'm hoping that I get 1 year where he pops out 40 for me and I can be excited and say that I did own him 1 year, that he had some of that elite Hall of Fame production.
Yeah, I think the game's better with all three of them playing. You know, but what
about you, man?
With Trout.
Yeah,
Robbie, as a Rockies fan, how do you feel?
Yeah, like we got Jordan Beck, you know, we got Brenton Doyle, I guess, Nick Martini, right fielder, you know,
Chris Bryant,
Hunter Goodman, Chris Bryant when we need him. I mean,
Sean
we finally got rid of Dan Wade, Nolan Jones, you know. But if you want to talk about guys that nobody cares about, yeah, sure, Trout. Okay, he's healthy. He's the best one. Yelich plays baseball, sure. Back problems, you know, it can flare up like that. And with surgery, it probably scar tissue, etc., could be a real shit decline. But Nick Martini, Jordan Beck, Sean Bouchard, guys. That's Sam Hilliard for now. Oh.
I love how Robbie can turn a conversation from Christian Yelich and Mike Trout into a Sean Bouchard.
Never forget.
That's how you do it, folks. That's how you do it.
I thought we were going to talk about trucks. So somebody asked in the chat, who would you
Next
rather
hour.
stash? Would you rather stash? Who did they ask? It was Roman Anthony or Zach Veen.
Roman
So-
by a large margin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not touching Zach Veen with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm not
Anybody feel
touching
differently there? Are we
I'm
all
not
on this
touching
list?
any Colorado Rockies prospect with a 10-foot pole. I don't trust the
Yeah.
way that organization handles them. And Roman Anthony just looks like the real deal every time you see him on the field.
Oh, hey,
The
Doc.
stash. Welcome to the stash.
Good evening,
Miss Chad.
cowards.
Oh,
Everyone's a
geez.
coward now.
yeah, I got you, buddy. I got you, Doc. Doc, and then
didn't you
Chad.
say
Doc,
your-
say,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Doc, say hi to everybody and where they can find you.
Hi, everybody. You can find me in the square down here on the Brady Bunch. I'm the bottom center. And then when I'm not on this podcast right now, you can find me on the X, Twitter, Doc Holiday Dyna. I made it as a burner account, and then people started actually listening to me for some reason sometimes. And now I'm on Scout the Stat Line. Might be going somewhere else. I should really get paid by CBS because the fantasy baseball boys, every time I'm on their mock drafts, they can't stop talking about how much I'm lighting it up with the Caleb Durbin, Ryan Weathers, RIP to both, those kind of moves. But hey, Victor Scott's working out.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Chad, say hi to the people and where they can find you.
He just made me Bobby. We're doing the Brady Bunch. I'm Bobby. That sucks.
Well, you're going to have to deal with it, Bobby.
Hey, I'm Chad. I'm a former full-time member of the Pallazzo Podcast. Right now, I'm just out on my own, putting out crazy, convoluted rankings and sometimes getting them right.
Yeah, I have yet to find the set of rankings that is perfect. So
I'll hook
All
you up
right.
after the show. It's all right. By the way, Matt and I, neither of us, I listened to the whole thing. Matt and I are on the same podcast, Dynasty Dingers. We don't even
Yeah,
shout
I
out
didn't
our
mention
own
that.
podcast.
Thank you, Doc.
The most arrogant guy in the world doesn't even shout out his own podcast. That's what it is.
from that, we got Dave Funnel now in Bobby's space. Dave, say hi to the people. Tell people where they can find you.
How's it going, everyone? Yeah, Dave Funnel, good to be here. You can find me on Twitter at one of the worst handles, at SPORTZ_NUTT51. And here I am. Good to be
Welcome.
here.
Welcome.
Yeah.
So, are you holding Zach Veen or Roman Anthony? If you're
Am I
stashing a
holding Zach-
prospect.
I'm holding Roman Anthony. As much as I like what Zach Veen's done, he's had a lot of injuries in the past, and that's one thing that for me it's a red flag for me. A lot of injuries in the past. I like what he's done, and he probably has the best chance. I mean, he should be starting. He should be on the team. I don't understand what they're doing, but I'm going to hold
being the
Roman
Rockies.
Anthony. I think the upside there is just it's immense.
They're being the Rockies. It's like I said earlier, it's tough to touch any Rockies prospect because you can't trust that organization to play them straight. It's the days of Trevor Story and that group of people that came up with him are long gone.
They're always 10 years too young. So
Yeah. Yeah, right when they should be getting some playing time. They're too young. So with all the gentlemen that are here joining us, who is your number one drafted player this year? Who is the player that you feel like you planted your flag on more than anybody? And since you're first to the conversation, Dave, I'll let you go first.
Okay. I got two, but I'll give you one right away is Isaac Paredes. I love him at third. I love him in Houston. And I think you couldn't maybe not plan your draft around him, but it's to the point where if you miss out on the elite third baseman, which I love, but if you miss out on them, you can definitely cash in later on at third. I think he's going to pull that ball. I think he's going to love left field out there. And I think you could get 25 to 30 home runs that late in the draft.
Yeah, I love him there. And hitting in that lineup, this is going to be the best lineup that he's hit in. This is going to become this is his opportunity to be the best version of himself. Mm-hmm. Let's go up a box. Matt Morris, hit me with your flag plant.
Oddly enough, it's Christian Walker, and it's because of almost the same reasons, right? We're talking about pull side power, talking about Crawford boxes. And when we look at the early picks, Walker falls just enough where I can take some really high impact bats and still be okay with my first baseman. I think looking back, Cody Bellinger could have been a good choice with his hot spring as well, but Walker was just safe enough for me with his new environment to really provide value this season.
Interesting. I've got Jose Abreu vibes. I'm so afraid he's just going to bomb out in Houston. And I know he's a different player and it's a different set of circumstances, but he's everything that I wanted Jose Abreu to be when he signed with Houston. And he just, I don't know what it is. So I hope you're right.
Abreu had some concerns going in metrically when he signed with Houston. I think that was a terrible deal. I think Walker gives us a really great 25 if he can come back and shake off this injury. But long-term deals, 26, 27, we don't know, right? Like we talked about aging. He could fall off the hill. I think at least this season we get really good return from Walker.
Absolutely. Owen, who's your flag plant?
I got a few, but before I get into that, there was a question in the chat. I really liked it. Who was this year's Christian Yelich? For me, I'm going to go with Pavin Smith. I think he takes over that Jock Peterson type role in Arizona. And when you look at the power metrics, elite barrel rate, the X sluggage is great, the walk rate is great. Not really any glaring swing or miss or strikeout issues. So that's going to be my guy for this year's Yelich. For a few I like that I've been drafting a lot of, Spencer Schwellenbach immediately stands out. He's going as the starting pitcher 24 right now. I think he could be a top 10 starter in 25. So he's been one that I've been really all over. Jock Peterson, outside pick 350 is insane to me. I love that lineup that he's in. He's having a great spring. So that's another one that I've been all over at value. And lastly, it's not really the sexiest pick, but Joey Ortiz to me is one I really, really like later. Past pick 300, he can give you 20-20. And one more is I'm definitely someone I do not take closers early. Justin Martinez has been a guy that I've ended up with a lot as my top closer. I really think he runs away with that closer's role, and I think really could give you 30 saves, elite strikeouts, and really be that kind of pop-up closer this year.
I love that. The fearsome foursome coming from Owen Hurd. Mike, who's your flag plant?
So I'll give you one hitter, one pitcher. I think the hitter that I own the most shares of right now is Bryson Stott, second baseman from the Phillies, mostly just because of the price. It's very late in drafts. It's really hard to find batting average value that late, as well as stolen base. And Stott has been really hot this spring. He's looked really good. And, it doesn't take very much for him to maybe move up a couple notches in that Phillies lineup. And you can really see right now he's slated for technically like a platoon with Edmundo Sosa. But if Stott can produce and hit against lefties okay, he should be able to take that full-time job from Sosa. Love that spot for him. And then on the pitching side, it's an old geezer for me. It's Nathan Eovaldi. I don't know if people really realize what he did last year. He gave you 170 and 2/3 solid innings of a 3.80 ERA. And with that, it's hard to find strikeouts and guys who make turns of the rotation every 5 days for winning ball clubs where Eovaldi goes and drafts. And I just love that value. He certainly has had that history of injuries, but he's been pretty steady since 2020, and I think that you can always count on him to go out there and take the mound every 5th day for what should be a really good Texas Rangers ball club.
Yeah, and he's going in that range where you just want the highest floor you can get, and the floor for him and his performance feels really high. So, Stash.
That's me, I think.
That is you.
Yeah.
Let's fight. I'm ready.
Can you tell that Matt Morris is like the calm, cool, collected guy, and I'm like the zany, weird guy in our podcast?
Nobody could tell that at all.
Yeah,
you look like
man.
You look like my name is Earl guy. And the last time I saw you on a Potapalooza, you were smoking a cigar like a pimp, like Tony Soprano. So I've never met Mr. Holiday, but He seems to be a combination of Tony Soprano and Earl. So
you're making me fiend out. I'm staying. I'm in the middle of moving somewhere. I'm in some Airbnb. This lady keeps knocking on the door, telling me to get off the podcast. Stop! You don't know ball. She keeps yelling, and so that's offensive. A. B. Want a cigar? But you can't smoke in an Airbnb, or else you get a 1-star rating. I guess you can.
I was going to say that. Where you're at does not look like a normal place to podcast. That wouldn't be the normal backdrop. I felt like you were in like a seedy motel or like outside my house, ready to jump me after the podcast. Like I had no idea what was going on down there. So who's your flag plants, buddy? Hit me with the knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's out there following me has heard the VS2s, the Durbins, the Weathers, but I'll talk about a couple guys everyone seems to hate, and that's or they're just kind of bored of, I guess. It's Paul Goldschmidt and it's Mikel Garcia. And so Mikel is especially he's, I'd say, an average BA classic 5x5 specialist. His OBP is not going to be super friendly, but a reliable 30 bases from second base, maybe third base. Well, he's third base, maybe second base, depending on your format. In terms of the guy's actually a solid hitter. He's got great EV. He's a cousins of Ronald Acuna and Alcides Escobar. He's some good blood. And so, really, I don't need to see him do a crazy launch angle boost, especially if it's become. He had a high expected BA last year. So as much as it was a rough year, it wasn't as bad as some people think. But if he does tweak that launch angle just a little bit, like he could yank out 15 bombs and like all of a sudden 15-30 with a 270 plus BA. That's really nice. And then I guess I don't have to go into Goldschmidt. You know who he is. He's playing in Yankee Stadium, where they've been going. Big value plays for me.
Oh, I love both of those picks. And I've been on a Michael Garcia for a few years, so maybe I need to let go a little bit if he doesn't really perform this year. But God, I'm dreaming on that talent. And Paul Goldschmidt at first base. Are you kidding me? In that Yankees uniform, I'm expecting one more good year out of him. He could do 25-5, hit upper 200s, like 290, 300, have solid counting stats in that lineup. I don't think that anybody is hating on Paul Goldschmidt. If they are, they can take a long walk off a short pier. Like
I am actually hating on Paul Goldschmidt.
Hate away then, Owen. I want to hear this because I think it's insanity.
Yeah, I believe face. Like when I started mentioning Mikel Garcia, I'm like, is that excitement? I've never seen anyone else look excited like I do when they hear Mikel Garcia. Wonderful to see. I'm glad to hear the support. Let's hear the hate.
Yeah, counterpoint to Goldschmidt if I can.
Please do.
Yeah. We saw the walk rate really nosedive last season. He 290 to 300 to me is just a foreign number to him. 245 last year, expected average, back that up. I think at Goldschmidt, I don't think that the move to Yankee Stadium is going to be this career revival that a lot of people think it's going to be. To me, if anything, he's been on the decline the past couple of years, and I just don't really see that changing.
Yeah, he's definitely getting older, but wasn't he the MVP a couple of years ago? I think his aging trajectory isn't as steep as other people's at his age. I'm really looking forward to it, but those are all good points.
I do love him in like a 12-teamer too, because like honestly, he's going about to be like the last first baseman corner guy that I think he's going to go either way. He's going to take off and do great in Yankee Stadium with that Bronx Bomber lineup, or he's going to completely continue his downward trajectory. So if you're in a 10-12 teamer, I love Goldschmidt even more because you can tell right away what he's up to, and if he's not looking great, just drop him.
Yeah, one thing just I'll add on Goldschmidt too is like I don't think from a cost perspective either we're really looking at a risk averse price. Like he's at ADP of 155 right now. You look at some of those guys going later. Isaac Paredes. I would rather bank on Michael Toglia's upside 20 picks later. Christian Encarnacion Strand, Burleson, even somebody like Rhys Hoskins, if you want that power and can afford to take a hit for the average. Those are just some guys that I would prefer later at cost.
I like it. What's up, Doc? How you doing?
Happy Baseball Eve.
Happy Baseball Eve. Say hi to the people and tell people where they can find you.
You can follow us at Trip Play Fantasy. Just finishing fantasy basketball, hopefully getting some baseball content. I got to give a shout out, though, to Dave Funnel. Dave, I have been following your injury updates, your hashtag Funnel Vision, as somebody that bets a lot on player unders. That is indicative of their health. And I follow you not only for that, but you have just been great in giving updates. So I had to tell you.
Hey, appreciate that. Thank you.
Making
Thanks a
people
lot.
money in memories, Dave.
There you go. Funnel vision. Yeah.
That's right. What a service.
Yeah.
So I'm going through who was your flag plant this year. I'm going to come to you next, Doc. Chad, who was your big draft this year? Who did you plant your flag on?
Nick Kurtz has been probably definitely my most drafted. Out of 45 drafts, I have 45 shares. That ballpark is just so sexy.
So when do you think he's getting called up? Because
it could be September and he's still going to hit 30 home runs in that ballpark. It really doesn't matter. Like,
okay.
I'm looking at that Brent Rooker and Lawrence Butler hitting 75.
That would be a record if they did that as teammates. That would absolutely, we would all remember that. I think that's a little high, but I could easily see both of those players hitting 40 to 50 home runs. I absolutely could.
The other one I have a ton of, and I just don't get. I get the money aspect somewhat is why people are thinking this, but I have a ton of Lucas Erceg. I think he's not only Kansas City's closer, I think he's the best closer in baseball.
Wow.
Those are big words. Mason Miller exists.
Miller is amazing, but there's always going to be the health risk.
Okay. You heard it here.
So he's probably a 1B.
Okay.
But Erceg is just lights out.
All right.
We saw last year.
Is anybody else in love with Erceg? Do we have any seconds on that or any pushback on Erceg?
I mean, it doesn't seem like the Royals are in love with Erceg, or else they wouldn't have paid Estevez like $10 million.
Yeah, I will say one thing that does concern me with Erceg is the also talk that he's going to be more of that kind of high leverage guy, whether that be the 7th or 8th inning in addition to the 9th. That being said, I do think he's somebody who can get you a good mix of save and holds, especially because I don't think Estevez holds down that role, but it's too much concern for me to draft him as my top closer.
Fair enough.
Yeah, why are you going to hold Erceg for half the season until he gets the closer job? Like, if you're in a save-hold league, absolutely, but just saves, that's a ridiculous player to just have on your roster because it's just, great ratios. If he was a Sparp with, like, SP attached to him, that's fine, but he's a bad pick right now.
I don't see Estevez being able to hold that job.
Hold the job, but that's June, July you're talking about. By the time
I'm thinking weeks. Like, Estevez is not good.
He's getting $22 million, $11 million a year. They're not going to just give up the job to, like, they're not going to be like, he had a couple bad weeks. They're going to let him ride it out.
So I do agree with that. You tend to follow money with closers. And Kev, I haven't gotten to introduce you, and I haven't seen you for a couple years since we did the live scarf draft. The inaugural scarf draft. Welcome to the Bozo Fest, Kev. Say hi to the people and where they can find you.
How's it going, everybody? Kev Mosteredjon, aka at RotoSurgeon on Twitter. I'm excited for baseball, baby. Dodgers are 2-0. That's exciting. That looks like another good year, I think. IMO.
Yeah, it's
no
not a
offense
bad
to
team
Sarah,
to
who's
root for.
0-2 right now, by the way.
I was gonna say, like, you said that the second I came in the room.
I know.
I am offended.
That's awesome. That was so terrible. Yeah. Sarah, say hi to the people and where they can find you.
Oh, hi, y'all. Sarah Sanchez at BCB_Sarah on Twitter. We're still calling it Twitter, at BCB Sarah on Blue Sky. And you can find my fantasy writing at Baseball HQ. And I co-host a podcast with Shelly Verstrate on the Pitcher List Network called Fantasy Feud. You can find my Cub stuff at Bleed Cubby Blue.
And Sarah is a top-rate human being. Again, we'll all talk about First Pitch. If you've never been to First Pitch Arizona, make plans to go in November. You get to talk baseball with all the awesome baseball nerds. It's the greatest time ever as a fantasy baseball person. But
and first pitch, Sarah Sanchez dominated the Family Feud.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Family Feud lawyers. Trivia show that we did. Sarah Sanchez won every single level with her baseball knowledge. Shout out, Sarah. How are you?
Aw. Thank you, Britton. That's very kind of you. I honestly think I have to retire now because I'll never repeat that performance.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're going to give
It was
out.
a lot of fun, and we're definitely doing it again next year. Brent's already in, so.
Oh, really?
Yes.
We'll talk on the side. I'm ready for this. So
let me just say, Sam deserves such a shout out for this. If you were at First Pitch Arizona this year, if you weren't, he put together like a whole Family Feud board and like all of the baseball answers. He surveyed the people on Twitter to get the numbers, so that's where the data came from. And he had like a blue crushed velvet suit, which was incredible. Which like it was blue, right? I'm not imagining that. It was like this.
it was crushed blue velvet tuxedo jacket. Absolutely
incredible.
Are there pictures?
It was
There's
so much
video.
fun. It was so much fun that while the explaining bat speeds analytics thing was going on next door, everybody who was in that huge conference room kept wondering what was going on in our conference room. That was so fun. And now we're going to turn it into a whole thing. So stay tuned.
Okay. So this is
killed it.
Yeah. Thank you. You gotta come to First Pitch to see the magic. So we're doing Flant Plagues. Who did you draft the most? I'm going to go Doc, Kevin, Sarah, because I don't think I got to Doc yet. So Doc, who was your most drafted? Who did you plant your flag on this year?
I got a lot of Mark Vientos. I set the min pick for him at TGFBI. Right now, Roster Resource has him hitting 5th, but Brandon Nimmo hitting 4th. I don't see that staying. Hitting in a great Mets lineup. I like what I saw from him last year. 27 homers, 129 run plus RBI in 111 games. Vegas home runs have him at 28.5 and minus 105 on the over. Like I said, I just set a min pick at TGFBI at 76 because when you have the ends, you got to reach and get your guys. But I like the upside going into this year.
Okay. Kev, who's your flag plant, not your plant flag?
I guess Brandon Pfaadt. I think last season, second half of the year, electric, bad ERA, but every peripheral stat was just incredible. ERA, I see as a fake stat. I don't think it's real. Obviously, it matters for fantasy, but at the end of the year, the 32 starts can change that. I think Pfaadt's going to take that next step and enter the top 20, top 15 SP tier. With his K's, home park is better now with the humidor. What's it called? Arizona's going to win games, so you'll get wins. I think everything you need is going to come from Pfaadt. I can't believe there was really a battle for the 5th rotation spot there. It does suck that Ryan Nelson's not included, but that's neither here nor there. I'm interested to hear more about Vientos, though, because the overperformance from like X stats to like actual performance doesn't concern you from Triple Play over here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a gamble. Obviously, expected stats look better than last year. 6'3", 185 pounds. So not necessarily a small guy. 25 years old. So I think that there's upside, and it's not like you're seeing a career year for someone at 31, 32 years old. Mm-hmm. And I really like the lineup. I think the Mets 1 through 4, you could argue, is probably one of the best 1 through 4 outside of the Dodgers. And you don't have to pay the price that you do for Alonso or Lindor or Soto.
No, I agree. I've taken Vientos. I was just wondering because I'm not crazy for liking Vientos, even though some indicators aren't, in love with him. But yeah.
All right. I like Pfaadt a lot. And I think you're right about ERA. You look at some relievers that end up with a 4 or 5 ERA, and that was just they had one bad appearance. It's really difficult to judge a player truly on the ERA as a pitcher. So, Sarah, who is your flag plant?
So I'm going to go with a guy that I took in the first draft that I did at First Pitch Arizona, and is one of my top ranked players.
A catcher from Venezuela.
It's Ivan Herrera. So different catcher. Is Ivan Pereira from Venezuela? I don't.
Yeah, I bet you he is. Well,
Panama. No, he's from Panama. He's from Panama.
I was going to say Ivan. He's probably
look,
from Cuba.
Listen,
All right, whatever.
Wilson Contreras would be my most drafted player. However, in any room I'm in, he jumps 10 to 15. I'm just like, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not going 15 additional spots to get my guy. I did it in a couple of drafts. I'm very glad I did. But Ivan Herrera, I think, is a slept on pure hitter in baseball this season. And I took him at first pitch Arizona because I was kind of projecting Wilson would play more DH or do something else because the Cardinals don't like him behind the plate. But Ivan Herrera can both catch defensively, and he has never, I repeat, never had a WRC plus under 100 at any stop, minor league or major league, where he had at least 30 plate appearances. That is incredible. The kid hit 301 last year, and he's going to play like 65% of the Cardinals games as a catcher. That is an outstanding catcher 1. And if you get him as your catcher 2, it is a steal.
So it's not lost on me that the person who writes for Bleed Cubbies Blue is telling you to plant your flag on a St. Louis Cardinal catcher. Like, that's high praise from you. I'm sure that's hard for you to say in some way that it's.
We should double up that take. This is like double jeopardy for your take. It's like it.
Yeah,
you're really standing your ground here.
Let's be really clear. This is a 2-pronged take. Part of it is that I love catchers who rake. Yep. Wilson Contreras, William Contreras, Ivan Herrera. Like, these are my favorite players in baseball. Catchers who rake all day long. Name to stash in the back of your mind for later this season. Moises Ballesteros, another catcher who can rake, who is next up in the Cubs system if, God forbid, Miguel Amaya or Carson Kelly doesn't work out. And that gets me to prong number 2, which is Jed Hoyer is my villain origin story. And the man keeps trading all of the catchers I like and all of the players I like to double down on the most boring, mediocre dudes that you have ever seen in your life. Miguel Amaya and Carson Kelly are neither excellent offensively nor excellent defensively. And as far as I can tell, and I watched a lot of Cubs baseball last year, what was happening with Miguel Amaya was BABIP luck. I do not buy the whole, like, oh, he changed his leg kick and now he's a 300 hitter. That is untrue.
I'll say it for you. Fuck Jed Hoyer.
If I can jump in here, I'm curious to just hear the backing on Contreras. He's actually someone I don't love at cost. I think like just inside pick number 100 to get 20 home runs, maybe a 250 to 260 average is just, I'm not huge on that.
He's a first
Wilson
baseman.
Contreras is a first baseman now. He is going to have 700 plate appearances, which is 30 home run territory. And he's gonna play every single day.
He's one of the best picks on the board right now.
He's
going to be all off season.
I would take
literally my dude right there.
Picks later. I would take Paredes 70 picks later if you're looking for power around that.
But he's not a catcher. We're talking about at the catcher slot.
Yeah, put him at the catcher spot.
You're not putting him at first base. You're putting a first baseman. Wilson Contreras is going to be one of the top 2 valued catchers in baseball next year. Book it. I'm putting my money down right now. He should be picked over Adley, honestly. Like,
he should be picked over everybody except maybe his brother, and that is only because his brother has a better batting average over time.
Steals a little bit.
This catcher talk getting spicy.
Cal Raleigh. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Cal Raleigh is
it's like a Venezuelan call-in show.
Nobody wants a 200 average from Cal Raleigh. I'm sorry.
Kev, no.
We're going to be talking about this later in the year, how that might be one of the worst contracts in baseball.
No, we're not.
I love Cal Raleigh.
You guys are all wrong.
Like, the idea that Cal Raleigh and Wilson Contreras are equal for fantasy this season is laughable, just on the plate appearances alone.
Yeah. No, Contreras is like gonna break the catcher position if he plays if he stays healthy. That he doesn't have to play every day. He is gonna play every day.
Okay,
he is their everyday first baseman.
I'm not questioning the playing time. It's more just I think from a value perspective, I'm just not.
But the value is the playing time.
Yeah, he had 15 home runs and 358 plate appearances. Imagine him with 650.
The dual.
He had a WRC plus of 140 last season.
He's like
He's
not on his knees anymore. He's standing at first base. It's like you have to like compound the value here. Like shit, he might hit 35 with a 300 average.
Wilson Contreras has an exit velocity of like 117 or something insane. Like the man has the longest home run in postseason history in the StatCast era.
Yeah.
I mean, the strikeouts are below average. The whiff is
I don't
terrible.
care about strikeouts on my first baseman in fantasy baseball. This isn't a points league.
I'm just saying, looking at him either way as a
This
catcher
is like
or a
The
first
View
baseman,
meets
there's
Fox
guys that
News.
I feel like
Love
are
it.
better
on catcher edition.
So hold on, guys. We've had somebody being really nice that I haven't had a chance to introduce. Bob Dole 96. Finally get to see your face. I've seen you on social media. Say hi to the people and where they can find you.
Hi to the people. I'm in the lower right corner. The circle gets the square. No, yeah, I know. I have a blue sky. I write for the Upside Prospect, which is on Patreon, and I don't know the URL. I just go there through my email. But they've got a lot of cool prospect rankings, and then they also let me write crap like once a week.
Hell yeah.
Right on. Bob, who's your flag plant?
Well, I got, last year I had that awesome Blackburn background. So this year I did the Gage Workman movie poster. But no, I didn't draft him. That's the thing, though. It's only fun to draft players that aren't going to be any good, because if they're a little bit good, you feel so smart. Right?
So who made you smart this offseason? Who are the one that you're going to remind everybody at the end of the season?
I did a really good job. I
everywhere.
made a really early call on Ryan Weathers, and his value went way up. So I feel really good about that.
Okay.
Not anymore, but up until that point,
I
you
got to
had
bank
great
it where
helium.
I can. I felt smart for a minute.
We're all looking for moments of perfection, right? Like, you don't get to be perfect for longer than just a moment. So you had your moment in February and March. Nobody else though. Bob.
I had my
Nobody
moment
else?
in March. I had my moment in February.
Yeah. February and March until he got demoted, until he didn't make the team. So
Yeah, I scored imaginary points in February.
So who's the player that you planted a flag on that we're going to see in April?
Yeah, so I mean, I did a lot of Corbin Carroll, like, because the first three is always Witt, Ohtani, and Judge in some sort of order, and then like all the other guys, I'm pretty indifferent. Like, is any one of them could be the best, right? Tatis and Jim.
I saw somebody pick De La Cruz and
overweight on the second half of 2024. That's how I did all my judging, which is why I picked Ryan Weathers.
Yeah, and should have made the team, but he didn't. Who made the team ahead of him?
Well, he's hurt.
Ryan Weathers hurt.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't think. I
Forearm
didn't
strain.
know.
He's cooked. It's over. It's over.
He's your brain on drugs.
Seed oils.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Uncle Ted in the chat for like the worst takes I've ever seen in my life. Whoever he is, God bless him, because he's just going. He's like, Keibert Ruiz is better than Wilson Contreras. Thomas Harrington will be better than Bubba Chandler. It's like, to pull this kind of stuff out of your ass, like, you have to have a special talent. Shout out to you, Uncle Ted. You are one of one.
He's like a podcast legend. I hear him on every podcast with comment from Uncle Ted.
Yeah, we love Uncle Ted.
Yeah, no.
And he's got spicy takes for sure. I need to introduce Marty Tallman. Welcome to the show. We've been arguing about catchers and other things.
The party is here. It has arrived. His
There
name
it
is
is.
Marty. What up?
Say hi
Marty,
to the
Marty?
people.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes,
We
sir.
can. Awesome. Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited, obviously, for baseball tomorrow, and I'm hopping in on the conversation. I'm hearing Ryan Weathers' forearm. Brutal.
Yeah. And here I was. I didn't know he was injured. I just didn't think he made the team. I thought somebody made a dumb decision. So who's your flag plant this year? Who is the player that, like, coming into the season you drafted the most and you're the most excited about?
It's got to be Brandon Pfaadt. He's on 66% of my teams.
There we go.
So,
Yeah, Kev, there you go.
Kev had the same one. Yeah.
That's two Pfaadts, baby.
for
Yeah.
better or
Great
worse,
minds.
he's on almost every team.
Don't say we don't give a thought here.
There you go.
I was going to go with two Pfaadt to handle.
Yeah.
Fat man.
Absolutely. All right. So who's the player that you guys avoided? That everybody, you heard more people saying nice things. We've obviously had some disagreements at catcher. So I know that there are some people that were out on some buzz takes. Sarah, you seem to get things started off. I want to hear, who is the player that there was the most buzz about that you wanted to avoid?
Yeah, so this is actually real easy for me, and I didn't have to avoid him because in every draft I was in where he would have fallen to me, somebody took him before I had the opportunity. So I didn't actively not draft this player, but every mock draft I did this year from the 4 or 5 spot, I hated having Ellie De La Cruz as my start. I did not like how my team wound up. I did not like having to try to claw back batting average the whole time. I didn't like having to worry. I like having somebody in that spot. I would rather claw back steals and take Aaron Judge in that position later in the draft than take all of the steals and the power with the batting average hit that you get from Ellie. And so I was pretty out on Ellie as a draft strategy from that position all year. And I don't think I would have taken him if he had fallen to me at 8 or 9. I liked other players better at that spot.
Is this for Roto or a head-to-head format?
Roto.
I mean, I drafted from the 3-4. I was taking Ellie ahead of Judge because you get those steals, and then on the back turn, it's Merrill, Riley, Bryce Harper, Freddie before you could get your average and homers on the 2-3 turn.
But average and homers dries up so much faster than stolen bases with average that it's unreal, and it's easier to make up 70 steals late in a draft than it is to make up 70 home runs with a 300 average. I was just, we just build teams differently too. It could be that some of the players I really like that I really wanted don't play well with Ellie, but I did a lot of mocks before I started doing my big drafts. And I hated every team that I built with Ellie as my first pick out of the 4 to 8 spot. And I wouldn't have drafted him.
Yeah, no, I experienced it tougher with Judge, where it's just you're struggling to get steals on that 2-3 because you're not going to get Chorio. You're not going to get, I mean, Lindor.
I'm fine, waiting on steals until the 10th round.
Oh, yeah, no, because then you're just taking Pete Crow Armstrong, which I guess as a Cubs fan, that's a lot more palatable.
Pete Crow Armstrong, Bryce Terang, Nico Horner. You got a lot of guys at late who will get those stolen bases while not killing your batting average. But there are you can only get those 300 power guys. And remember, a home run is a home run, a run, and an RBI. You can only get those guys in the first 4 rounds.
Ellie does that too. That's the thing.
Ellie hits 240.
That's not bad for a 70 steal guy. I'm taking that.
I would rather have Aaron.
Yeah, let me ask you something. You said you would get Bryce Harper on the 2-3 turn. Is that in a 15-team league?
I've gotten it in 12 teams. I've gotten him.
Okay. I was about to say, man, I need to get
No. OCs, RotoWire OCs. Yeah, no, 15 is
cool.
crazy.
I got you.
But yeah, I've gotten Merrill, Bryce Harper with Ellie twice, I think, and I was like, I'll take that.
So real quick, I want to say hello and welcome the new people here. We've got my friend again from Arizona, Mr. Mike Carter, coming in from Illinois, and we got Ben Palmer. Mike and then Ben, I want you to say hi to all the people and tell people where they can find you.
Boy, the better question is, where can't you find me at this point, I think.
I saw you outside my house yesterday, so I mean, you are everywhere.
I wish I was outside of your house. That would be pretty cool right now. But no, I'm at MDRC0508 on the Twitter, which is the worst Twitter handle of all time. We've already established that several times. And I'm writing over at Fantrax and also at Rotoballer, and I'm also co-host of the Fantasy Baseball Beat with another person who is on this Brady Bunch call, Dave Funnel, who's up in the corner there. And I see a couple of fellow Glarfers here as well. Who are both going to destroy me this year.
Welcome, Mike. Ben, say hi to the people, and where can we find your work?
Hi to the people. What's up, everybody? I am Ben. I am at Pitcher List and have been for so long, a very long time, and we'll be there again this year. Every week writing about hitter matchups and stuff like that and whatever other articles kind of, pop up. And yeah. Oh, you guys want to see something cool, by the way? Check this out. So, all right. So this is the weirdest thing. So a couple years ago, my great aunt died and they were going through her stuff and she's a big Orioles fan. And my dad was like, hey, we found this thing. Do you want it? And I was like, I don't know what this is. So this is what it is. Look at this. This is Brooks Robinson. Right? Hell yeah. And it's made out of, it's I don't know if you can hear that. It's hard. So I'm sitting there going what is this? And then here's the thing. Brooks's head comes off, right? Okay. So I'm like, what the hell is this? It's a decanter. It is a Brooks Robinson.
Brooks Robinson decanter.
A Brooks Robinson decanter made out of like
Yeah,
stone?
baby.
I don't know.
I was going to ask if you could. I was going to ask if you could put your weed in there.
And I'm like, yeah. Also, it smells awful. But it, yeah. I'm like, of course I want this. What do I do with it? I don't know. It's just going to be out here. But
That's sick.
I mean, just I did. My great aunt got it one day a long, long time ago. And
I have an Eric Gagne. Not bobblehead, but like I don't. It's like something that it can't fall over. It's one of those things like
it looks like
a
Weeble
wobble.
Weeble wobble.
Yeah, a Weeble
It's a
wobble.
Weeble wobble.
Whatever it is.
Like a Russian.
This is one of my prize.
Like
This
a
is my
Russian
prize
nesting
possession.
doll.
Fun little fact.
Very cool.
Fun little fact. Before he passed, me and Brooks Robinson would go to the same barber. We'd always sit next to each other. Talked with him like 3 times. Nice guy. Got a good haircut. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Right on.
Did you like? Were there ever any cool stories, or like, was it? I mean,
No, he
I hope
liked
it
to be
wasn't
kind of
boring,
low
right?
key. He liked to be low key. Like he would get weirded out with like bobbleheads and stuff because he's like, I've been retired like 50 years. It's weird seeing my face on there.
What about decanters?
That's what made me think of it.
This...
He would think that's even weirder. I asked him to come on an interview for our podcast, and he said I stopped doing media years ago, and I respected that.
As
He considered you media. That is the best part right there.
It's a backhanded
Also,
compliment.
the guy in the chat, Uncle Ted, who said porcelain. Maybe this is porcelain, but like, I don't know. I don't know.
How do you clean it? Like,
Fill it with rubbing
That's the
alcohol
thing,
and
you don't.
shake it up.
Well, so that's
Nice,
the thing.
Sam.
All right, imagine you use this for its purpose, a decanter.
Yeah.
So you're first of all you're putting wine in this.
Sure.
Okay. First of all, you have to. This is the only entrance into the body of Brooks Robinson.
oh boy, here we go.
I mean,
that's a
at
sentence
least
I've
it's
never said.
the top, not the back.
Correct.
So like
Correct.
that makes it better.
Yeah, it'd be kind of weird if there was like,
Yeah.
But man, real dump truck too on this Brooks. But yeah, so you put it right in here, and then I guess it filters out. Yeah, because there's a hole down in the. I hate to say this, it's true. If you look very closely inside, there's a hole in the groin, right where the
Hole in
butt
the groin.
connects. So the wine goes down there, and I guess goes into the feet. Like I don't understand the design of this.
boy.
Mike Ferland.
At all. I mean, it's just it's
Oh,
something.
boy.
Or you can just have the head of Brooks. Just pop
All
it in.
right.
I mean,
So-
wine is alcohol, so it should clean it, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it should.
You know, it's just the weirdest thing. And then what? You're gonna let it sit in here, and then you're gonna pour it out of. You're like, hey, I've got company over. Oh, would you like some of my Brooks Robinson's body wine? Like, you can't do it.
Maybe
If it's a
Orleans
red, it
is.
looks like you decapitated him. I just
It
is one of the
borders on
strangest things.
a religious experience, I'd imagine, from some people. You're taking from the host, but we're going to digress this whole
Oh yeah,
conversation.
continue. Sorry,
Mike,
My bad.
we just heard how Ellie De La Cruz is in a void at 4.
For me.
This year going into drafts, the question that I'm posing to the panel is, what player had the most buzz that you were the most out on? Like who did you avoid that everybody around you was like, this guy's hot shit?
That's an interesting question. I hadn't really thought about that too much. I think I did only 8 drafts this year. It was the lowest that I've done in years. And I think my biggest avoids, I was really kind of happy to pick at the back end of the first round this year, more so than I probably have been in years past. And I think for me, the guy that I was avoiding, well, not avoiding, I shouldn't say, but the guy that I had the most kind of question about was Kyle Tucker, much to Sarah's chagrin.
I agree.
I was worried about him just because of going to the new park and coming off of a pretty significant injury. I feel like a lot of people are kind of writing in pen that he's 30-30, and I'm a little concerned about that. I've heard some Cub fans around here talking about, 50 home runs, and I'm like, hey guys, let's get him healthy first and see kind of where he's at. And so he's the guy that I've always liked in the past, and he was a guy that I faded a lot this year just because I was concerned.
Hey, I agree with everything you just said. And I was just having this conversation with some Cubs fans today. We were doing our preview for Bleed Cubby Blue. I am real nervous about Kyle Tucker. A couple years ago at Cubs convention, Mark Grace and Billy Williams were having this conversation about how tough Wrigley is on left-handed hitters. Like that is not a last year park effect. That is an eternal park effect. And there are very few players it does not impact. Go back and look at Kyle Schwarber's home run totals at Wrigley Field versus what he has done in Philadelphia or Boston or literally anywhere else. Like I 10-10 agree with Mike.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's interesting about that too is that people have this tendency to think of Wrigley Field as a bandbox. It's not. You know what I mean? Like it's for lefties, it's a really tough place to hit. So that was the guy that I had faded, Sam.
I like that call. He was my first pick in TGFBI. So looks like my season's screwed. It's fine. I'm good. I'm good. I won't cry about it. Marty, who were you avoiding this year that had buzz?
I guess the way I answer this question is like after my 12 drafts, who don't I have at all? Right. So looking at it that way, and I wasn't actively not trying to draft him, but it just happened. I don't have any Ketel Marte. 0.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
it makes sense.
Yeah, that's probably the one where maybe he didn't even necessarily have hype behind him, but he's pushed so far up. There's obviously people really believing in him, and that was last year was his best season for sure. So I think he'll return to what he normally is: 25 homers, 80. He's good. I don't think he's a bad draft pick, but I didn't see any reason to reach on him. If anything, I'm looking at Jonathan India all the way back there as like someone I think would be fine. Not obviously with the homers or anything, but like with second base, I found myself being able to wait.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at your hat. Like, how do you feel about Glaber this year? Is he somebody that you avoided in drafts, or
no,
you went on him?
I didn't go up. I didn't reach for him, but because it's his contract year, and I don't typically believe in that stuff, but with someone like Glaber, I do. I do truly feel like he's going to try harder because there were years in New York when he didn't. You know, thank you. Yeah. They want him to run as much as he can. So he's going to play every day, second, third batter. Every single day he's going to be there. I think 15 homers, I think, is what we should expect. And I'm hoping over 20 stolen bases. I think his average will go up about 260. So if he does that, for where he's going, he's worth it. But I wouldn't reach for him.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Kevin, who are you avoiding?
Who is Kevin?
Sorry, Kev.
I'm not Kevin. I'm just Kev. But thank you.
Apologies.
I appreciate it. No, you're good.
I'm so formal, and I know that's not what I should do there.
I'm going to go with another Cub, Justin Steele. I'm out on Justin Steele. Back-to-back seasons with forearm injuries. That's a no for me, Chief. That elbow is probably on its last legs. He's a fantastic pitcher. This is nothing against him. I feel the same way about Max Fried. Pitchers with multiple seasons of forearm injuries are, especially so close together, you're asking for a bad time. Yeah, no thanks on Steele. No thanks on Fried, too, just as a bonus.
Okay. Owen, who are you avoiding?
I agree with Kev on Fried and Steele. Not in on those two at cost, but to introduce a new, maybe controversial one, I do not have any Emmanuel Clase shares this year. Going relief pitcher in the top 50 is just a hard no for me. I think you can get similar value from Mason Miller if you're going to go closer early, 30 picks later. And another one, I'm not in on Jose Altuve this year. To me, he's just not a top 50 pick, and him playing in the field really concerns me as to how he's going to age this year. We saw, he was barely a 2020 guy last year. That's just not top 50 value in my opinion. And one more I'm going to introduce, maybe an unpopular one, but I'm not going to have any Bailey Ober shares this year at cost. If he falls a little bit, fine. I'm fine with him around that 120, 130 range. But to me, the big hard contact issues, that the fastball is horrible. It's just not somebody I want when I'm still looking at my, starting pitcher 2, maybe starting pitcher 3. There's just some other options I prefer a little later. And then this feels like a yearly thing, but no thanks on Lane Thomas either. Strikeout rate really rose on Cleveland, ran a lot less. To me, if you're looking for a platoon outfielder, you can get that from Willie Abreu over 100 picks later. So no thanks on those guys this year.
Yeah, Willie Abreu's not going to make the team. It doesn't seem like over.
He's going to make the rate. He should have been a rookie of the year. He should have been a rookie of the year finalist last year. I'm a Red Sox fan. I acknowledge that a trade is probably coming, but to me, he is a guy that is going to be in that lineup every day until they're forced to.
Yeah, no, I have to hard disagree on Ober though. Willier, that's fine, but the fastball is bad. But what works for him is the extension being like 6'9", so it's like a deceptive fastball more than anything. And he has just such a good pitch mix with command. He had like a lat injury, I think 2023, but once he's full strength and like the last year, he underperformed heavily. Like there's a lot of untapped upside with Ober, and I mean. The Twins are a good team. They field fine.
Yeah,
I'm really high on him in that range.
A lot of my big concern, just to go at that, is just those hard contact issues. To me, it's going to be hard for him really to live up to those peripheral stats, which I acknowledge. Yes, X stats wise, he did underperform. But to me, with those hard contact issues, he's more of a high threes ERA guy, and to me, that's just not top 100 value.
Definitely, but at least the park helps for the fly ball issues.
That's fair.
Ben.
Yeah, if he continues to consistently locate his fastball upstairs, which he stopped doing last year as much, I think that would also help. The diminished velocity doesn't help, but yeah, he doesn't. He was consistently locating his fastball upstairs, and it was working really well with the rest of his arsenal. And then he just stopped doing that. And also now it's like 90 miles an hour, and that also doesn't help. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah, Division II though, like he pitches in the AL Central, so that we have to remember that too. He gets the White Sox regularly. The Tigers are falling apart. Royals are solid but shaky, and he doesn't have to face the Twins. So
yeah, the weak division is definitely a point too. But just something I'd throw out there is you're looking at Hunter Brown and Spencer Schwellenbach in that range.
Oh no, definitely.
I would take those two comfortably over.
Yeah.
But like there's a range where like Steele, Fried, whatever, and then Ober, I'm taking Ober because
agree. Yeah, it's more cost for me, not out on really the player. Just to me, it's just I don't like him as my starting pitcher too.
Yeah.
Honestly though, looking at his game log last year, like Ober, there's like 3 starts maybe where Ober that I think really tanked his ERA.
Yeah, that's
first
fair.
one.
Like with those hard contact issues, are you really going to avoid those kind of blow up starts that are going to tank that ERA? It's kind of my concern.
I get it. I get the concerns for sure. But really, it's that first start against Kansas City where he gave up 8 runs. He had another one against Kansas City, one against Atlanta, and like aside from that, he never gave up 4 or more.
He's one of those easier ones to like. You can ignore the bad starts from like. At Atlanta, I'm probably benching him anyway. And then at KC, Kaufman is like awful. Apparently, like, I didn't realize how much of a hitter's park Kaufman was.
Yeah. And it's also like kind of a preference thing for me too, is I don't want my starting pitcher to be a guy I'm benching. I want that guy that can be in my lineup damn near every start.
We're just saying like 3-4 starts, but I get what you're saying. You want I would take a Bybee over him too. Don't get me wrong. Like,
I agree with that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Hey, Ben, Britton, who are you guys avoiding this year?
Ben, you go first because I've got a guy that's going to make everybody mad that I think is going to be a huge bust. And all I hear is this guy's name. But Ben, you go first.
Very curious.
Okay. Well, which Ben are we talking to?
There's Ben.
There's 2 Bens. It's 2 Bens. Yeah.
Sorry, 2 Bens.
I'm sorry, Palmer. Did I not ask you yet?
That's okay. No, which Ben do you want to go?
Well, I thought I'd already asked Ben, so I wanted to.
Do you go by Benjamin?
I do.
You go by Benjamin, other Ben?
I'll say Benjamin.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I've never met. Hold on, sorry. I've never met a Benjamin that goes by Benjamin.
The Bens are having a moment. Everyone go
meet Ben. So
I've never. I'm not joking. I've met many Bens. Never met a Benjamin.
Nope.
That's wow.
Part of that was I grew up with no other Bens, and once I became
back, I needed a moment.
Yeah. Once I met another Ben in my life, I decided that I was going to be special and unique, and instead of spelling my name with a Y, I decided to just call myself Benjamin. So
Benjamin, that makes sense. I met a Ben. I knew a Ben. I knew a Ben, and then I found out his full name was Benton, and it kind of felt like a betrayal.
Oh.
It was like, I thought you were a fellow Benjamin, and it's like Benton. Anyways, yeah. How about
go ahead, Benjamin?
Yeah, how about you go?
Yeah. So I might torque off folks just as much as Britton, because I am going to throw out that I want nothing to do with Tatis. Not at all.
Ooh.
Not in the first 2 rounds. I mean, seriously, I won't touch him if he ends up somehow in a draft in my lap in the 3rd round. Okay, I'm not a fan of the player, just in general. So, I think going out to the outfield could actually be worse for him long term. It's just I've not been a fan of him, and some of that has to do with making decisions he's made, but at the same time, it also has to do with I've always been left wanting if I owned a share of him, and so I'm just like, that's not. I'll just stay away.
Britton, who you got, buddy?
Cam Smith for the Astros has been like 30. Like if you're in college and it's
Fighting
Friday
words.
night and everybody's
Fighting
out
words.
of everything, and somebody's like, "Hey, it's whippet time." All right, well, somebody's got 99,000 whippets on Cam Smith. He's a talented player, but he was drafted last year. He was on the Florida State campus last year, not going to class, let's be honest, but he was on campus, and he went to AA and had 32 games, and now he's in the major leagues, and people are going nuts for Cam Smith. I like prospects. I'm rooting for him, but there is a real difference between, 5 games at 20 plate appearances at AA, where he walked 5%. I mean, whatever. All I'm saying is they're asking way too much of Cam Smith to come in there and replace, Bregman or whatever they're doing with Cam Smith. And I know he came over from the Cubs trade with Kyle Tucker, but I'm like, you can't just toss him into the wolves. Like you just can't. I think what they're doing with Cam Smith is a big mistake. I hope I'm wrong. Have you ever seen a player? I mean, I guess like the Angels did it with Nolan Chanel, right? Like I don't.
And Zach Neto.
Yeah, Zach Neto. Like how is this going to work? Like how do you see this working out?
Well, I think that Houston is generally a team that doesn't push prospects like this. And so the fact that they are doing this really gives me some interest into Cam Smith. I think that if there was any reason for him to be demoted, they would have taken it. It's team control. He's young. Like there's all these things that go into it. And I think that Cam Smith is literally the man. Now, it's different in a major league scenario. A lot of this is going to be mental challenges that he's going to have to face to deal with the grind. And, we talked earlier in the podcast about adjusting to major league pitching from the minors, that there's a bigger gap between the minors and major league pitching than there's ever been before, I feel like. But
hey, Sam, I was going to say, I want to get Ben in here too, just from our prospects guru on the show here. Ben, in terms of Cam Smith and Sarah, I want to get your take as well, since he was a former Cubby. Ben, in terms of just where he aligns, like maybe like a player comp of some kind, but from everything I saw from him in the minors, even at Florida State, he doesn't get the ball in the air enough too. How do you think that plays out in Houston? And give us a player comp that you like with Cam Smith.
Man, I've loved him as a line drive guy. I thought he was a guy who was going to be drafted about 15th and end up really making somebody happy about that coming into the draft. And lo and behold, that's about where he was drafted. And I did not expect him to move up this quick. I really honestly thought he was going to be more of your Jeff Cirillo type of a hitter. A lot of a lot of high contact, a lot of gap contact. I thought that was really the profile I saw watching him at Florida State. And there's a lot of value in that, but he has certainly had a lot better liftoff with the ball this spring. Now I will admit I have seen him twice, but I did watch him go, and now I'm completely blanking on I watched him go 2 at-bats against a major league starter, and I'm honestly forgetting who the heck it was that I watched him go against. But I thought, he handled some tough pitches, fouled them off, and then laced a single in that game. and he looks comfortable at the plate. Am I expecting a whole lot of pretty fantasy numbers this year? Not at all. Not at all.
There you
and
go.
I think that's where I think the big thing is he's going to be a guy who I think he takes a couple years to get to that point, but he could get there too. But I think right away he's going to be a guy who's not intimidated in the box.
Right. Yeah. Sarah, obviously he's the guy who came over in the Kyle Tucker trade, for those of you watching who are familiar with that. But one, I want to get your take on the trade in itself, Tucker, for Cam Smith. And I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of him in the minors, but what are your thoughts on Cam Smith being up with Houston this early?
I'm so happy for Cam Smith, and I love him. I'm honestly, he was the hardest player in that trade for the Cubs to let go of, from my perspective. And the thing that I think about a lot with that trade is it really only makes sense if they extend Kyle Tucker, because giving up all of everything Cam Smith is ever going to do for 1 year of pretty please can we save Jed Hoyer's job might be the dumbest thing that I have ever seen this organization do. And I have watched them do a lot of dumb things. And to be clear, I think Matt Shaw is an equal, I think Cam Smith and Matt Shaw are both very interesting prospects in similar ways. They have similar strengths. I think Cam Smith might be a better, more interesting athletic hitter. And I think Matt Shaw might be more infield defensive versatility, but we're splitting hairs here. I think they're both about the same guy. They're both WRC plus of 120. They're both has some power, might run a bit, good defense. They're both very good. But I don't know how you give up the entire career of either one of those dudes if you don't have an inside track on extending Kyle Tucker. And I hope Cam Smith, this is a hope, admittedly, not a fact. I hope Cam Smith wins the AL Rookie of the Year. The Cubs squeak their way into the playoffs and Jed Hoyer is fired after he fails to extend Kyle Tucker.
Well, let me ask you this question too, as a Cubs fan. And obviously we haven't seen him play one game in the Cubs uniform, but do you want to see them extend Kyle Tucker? Because he's going to warrant a pretty penny. So as a Cubs fan, are you looking for that?
Well, two things. One, we have seen Kyle Tucker play 2 games in a Cubs uniform in Japan. Admittedly, they happened at 5:00 in the morning, but they have happened. Yes. The second, yes, I do, for 2 reasons. One, I think Kyle Tucker is great.
Yeah.
And Kyle Tucker is a slightly less good version of Juan Soto that runs a bit more and has better defensive instincts. I don't think he should get Juan Soto money, because I think Juan Soto is the reincarnation of Ted Williams, and the difference between the reincarnation of Ted Williams and the slightly less good version of that is pretty big, in my opinion. Kyle Tucker is also a tiny bit older. I have been begging the Chicago Cubs to act like a Major League Baseball crown gem franchise since Theo Epstein left. It is pathetic that they have never done a multi-year deal that starts with a 2 and has 8 zeros after it, right? That is pathetic for a team that plays at Wrigley Field. So I want them to extend Kyle Tucker, but I really don't think they will. I have almost no faith in it.
There you go. Marty, speaking with another rookie here in Jackson Jobe making the starting rotation. One, how do you feel about that move for him? And 2, what are your expectations for Jobe, really in real life, but also from a fantasy perspective?
Man, from a fantasy perspective, I think he's your SP 6, 7. You're doing fine. What to expect from him? I think out of innings 140, I think I'd be happy with that. He had a great outing last time out. Yesterday or the day before, he looked great. Now, before that, his K- walk percentage was, pedestrian at best. So I didn't see him with any. His pitches look great, but he wasn't able to get people out. There wasn't a lot of swinging strikes, and he wasn't able to K anybody. So it's hard to say what to expect. And it's kind of the same thing with Casey Mize, which I know a couple of people have reached out. Is this the year of Casey Mize? If you watch Casey Mize for 4 years and he's not good, and then for a month he is good, I don't know what to expect. And kind of with the same thing with Jobe. But I think he's worth taking a flyer on. I wouldn't reach for him, though.
Yeah. That's a good point. And I know he's getting a lot of hype simply because he's, I believe, MLB.com's number 3 prospect in all of baseball. So, and obviously with starting pitcher, you can get him a lot later with the upside, but interesting. We'll see how he does. But something that Gove brings up in the show a lot too.
I think those strikeouts will come, though. That's the thing with him, is I think there's a decent floor there. He's got, I think, as he figures things out and figures out how to command that fastball. He's got stuff where, like, I don't know, you can get him kind of later, and the ceiling's ridiculous as he sort of figures it out. Yeah, I think they'll come along eventually.
So, if I told you that Job would have a Spencer Schwellenbach 24 season, would you be happy as a Tigers fan?
Absolutely.
Because I think that is the type of, I think folks underestimate how smart he is and how willing to work on his pitches that he is, just because he does have absolutely dominant stuff. This guy was a legit threat to be a 1-1 overall right-handed high school pitcher, which has never happened. So, I mean, yeah, you do end up running into some different things there, but I think that that's the type of guy you might be looking at this year. And, you know, I think folks also forget that Schwellenbach had some up and down starts last year. He had some starts where he got hit pretty hard, but he also then sat right next to Charlie Morton the next 3 days and learned a whole lot. And if Job is smart and, you know, ponies up right next to someone like, you know, Flaherty or someone like that right in the dugout who can talk about the trials of being a major leaguer, that'll go a long ways toward what he is in 26 and beyond.
Yeah, good point. I want to welcome in Dave, Dr. Dave. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, guys. How are you?
How you doing, Dave?
Thanks for jumping on, man.
Yeah, just got off a plane from Vegas doing my high stakes draft, and I was up for about 24 hours, passed out, woke up to a text from like 37 people, including Sam here, asking me to hop on and come hang out with you guys.
Yeah, Dave, we're passing it around here. We've talked about a little bit about it for the past hour and a half now. Give us one guy that you're high on, a guy that you have a lot of shares of, and maybe one guy that you don't have any shares of and you're fading.
Man. Well, I heard you guys talking about Schwellenbach. I really, really wanted Schwellenbach. Unfortunately, he was. I was even willing to set the min on him, and every draft I was in, a new min would be set on him. My main event that I drafted just yesterday, I was going to take him in the 4th round, and he went in the 3rd round, which is just crazy. But who do I have a lot of? I mean, I really love it early in the draft, like the Riley and Machado. Like, I just think they're huge values going in like the 3rd, and sometimes even they fell to the 4th round with all the pitching getting pushed up. But who else would I like? I think Robbie Ray is going to be like that kind of secondary ace that you can get a little later. That's maybe getting a little overlooked. And then Jackson Holliday, that would be my big one, because I think that he's the kind of guy, when you're talking about guys that young with that pedigree, like this is like the number 1 overall pick that you wanted. Like he was like the Bryce Harper level number 1 overall pick. And he's going at a point where you don't have to really, you know, he's like a 15th round pick, and there's no guarantee that he puts it together this year. But if he does, you could be looking at a 1st rounder next year. So I love taking shots on guys like that, because the growth that happens with these guys comes so quickly, and you don't know. It might not be the season, but if it is, you're getting a massive hit.
Yeah, good call. Who's one guy that you're fading that you're not touching?
Gavin Williams is a guy who everybody has been like pushing up the board because he's having a huge spring. The thing is, and I'm a Guardians fan, so I hope I'm wrong on this, but big time injury issues last year, and then on top of that, the velo is also high, gives him an even more chance of getting injured. And then on top of that, I just don't see the command from him that people want to see, and I think he's just getting overvalued. And maybe he's going to take that next step forward, but I haven't seen it, and I'm not going to pay for it.
This is a Gavin Williams podcast here, Dave. Okay, we're all big Gavin Williams people. Okay, so I'm expecting big things. Before the show started, I actually even told Britton and Sam, I said, I have a lot of shares of Gavin Williams. I think I have, out of my 6 leagues that I'm in, I think I might have 1 or 2 that I don't have him in yet, but I don't know.
We looked into our crystal ball, Dr. Dave,
Yeah.
and we realized that Gavin Williams is going to win the Cy Young. The NL, and Hunter Green is going to win it in the AL. Agree or disagree?
What, agree or disagree that the Gavin Williams, the guy that I just said was my biggest fade, is going to win?
No,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I meant Hunter Green as the AL Cy Young.
NL Cy Young.
I'm sorry. Do you think he's going to finish 1st or 2nd to Gavin I don't know how the order is going.
I don't think either of those are going to be anywhere near the finals of the Cy Young. But yeah, no, Gavin Hunter Green is another injury fade for me. So he was the one guy who kind of lasted longer than most before he finally went down with an arm injury, considering how hard he throws. But even like last year, he missed like a month and a half, I think, and no operation. So it's the underlying issues are still there. Still staying away from him. Gavin Williams, I would love to be wrong on Gavin Williams. If Gavin Williams wins the Cy Young, that means my Guardians are in a good spot because pitching is a bit of a concern this year for sure.
Yeah.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
Saying. Real quick, this is something that we do the past couple of years. I want to pivot here a little bit, and I want everybody to give me your World Series predictions. So I want you to give me the AL champion and the NL champion, and then I want you to also give me who wins it all. I'm going to start in the upper left here. I'm going to go with Ben, and you can't say the Braves, Ben. I'm kidding.
Well,
which Ben?
I was say
Benjamin.
You're going
Benjamin
upper
Chase.
left. Yeah. Okay. I really hope it's the Braves, but right now it's hard to pick against that monstrosity that is the Dodgers in the NL. And I know that that's a boring pick, but I mean, seriously, if you're taking the Dodgers of the field right now, it's an amazingly set bet for the Dodgers beyond anything we've probably seen in a long time for a single team versus the field. As far as the AL, I really there's a few teams that I'm really like, yeah, I know you want me to go there, but
Charlie Morton's going to carry us to the World Series.
Yeah,
that is so gross to say.
Our geriatric.
Be serious. I would love to see that, just to see Charlie Morton and Kyle Gibson get starts in the World Series. That would make for my coverage as a young prospect guy when I was covering Kyle Gibson as a prospect, and when I cried about the Braves first trading Charlie Morton way back when. But I am probably going to stick in the AL Central, and I would love to see the Twins pull it off just because it's my closest team. But I think if you have a fairly healthy Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa, and which, let's be honest, the third of that trio is Royce Lewis, and he's already hurt. So they have a ton of depth in pitching, and I don't think folks give that because they're all the same pitcher. I don't think folks give that enough credit. And they also have probably two of the guys that I think will have the most impact that aren't starting on an opening day roster and are going back to the minors, and that's Luke Keeschel and Emmanuel Rodriguez. I thought
you were going to say Zebby Matthews.
Oh, no.
Did somebody say Dallas Keuchel?
Yeah, no. But no, I really
the Orioles signed him too.
I think that I think Keuchel and Rodriguez are both going to be really big pieces of that team as the year goes on, and that'll really help things. Once Brooks Lee gets healthy, that helps shore up the infield. There's just a ton of depth there, and I really like the Twins to maybe do something fun.
There you go. So you got Braves and Twins in the World Series?
No, Dodgers and Twins. I'd love it to be the Braves to beat out the Dodgers, but I got to play the bet line. So
okay, and you got Dodgers winning it all?
Yeah, hard to pick against them.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. There you're on record there. Britton, I'm going to go to you next. Who is your NL winner? Who's your AL winner? And then who you got winning it all?
The Toronto Blue Jays win the American League on the heels of Kevin Gausman having the bounce back careers, former Baltimore Oriole. Kevin Gausman wins the AL Cy Young Award. Alan Roden wins Rookie of the Year award, and they face the Philadelphia Phillies in the World Series. Unfortunately for Toronto fans, I love you, Canada. Shout out Maple Leaves.
Shout out
Maple
Robbie.
Syrup. Hockey. Have you seen a show called Shoresy? It's on Hulu. Watch it. It's hilarious. Canadians are awesome. Strange Brew, what's up? But the Philadelphia Phillies bring it. Aaron Nola has the best year of his career. He starts an amazing 55 games and wins 9 of them, but keeps them in contention. And Oren Kickering somehow wins 29 of those games.
Oh boy!
So that's my bet. The Toronto Blue Jays versus the Phillies. The Phillies win in 7.
There you go. All right, Sam, I'm gonna push it over to you here, my friend. Who do you got winning the AL? Who you got winning the NL? And who is your World Series champ of 2025?
So I'm going to come really spicy on this because this was my spicy take a couple weeks ago, and I've been having this terrible dream all off season. So the Dodgers are going to Dodger, and they are, now that they've figured out that they can play, they've gotten over that mental hurdle. They are going to make the World Series in the National League. But there's a team that has the worst ownership in baseball, and that is the Sacramento Athletics. They have alienated millions of people. And yet in Sacramento, a team with no expectations and no real pitching other than pitchers that can just throw you innings, they're gonna have a struggle in April. May, they're gonna hit their thing, and you're gonna watch for 4 months. The Oakland Athletics are gonna win a lot of 8-6 games, 7-5 games, and they're going to be your 2025 World Series champions. And as much as I hate John Fisher, and I think that the AL West, as wide open as it is, has 3 teams that are way better than the Athletics. They're going to do shit that it's going to be bad. So there you go.
Wild card.
So wait a minute. You got the Athletics winning it all?
Over the Dodgers.
Ooh, man. That's a bold, spicy take, my friend.
Take that, Michael Curland.
There you go. Mike Curlin, what's up, man? We'll get to you in a second, but I want to pass it over to Sarah next. Sarah, who is your NL AL champion and who you got winning it all?
Yeah, so I refuse to give the Dodgers credit for what they've done. I mean, it's fine. I understand math. I get that they invested like $1 billion in the future in players and they're playing like a hedge fund shell game, yada, yada. I understand all of that. I want them to lose, and baseball is a wonderful sport because it's a 162 game season, which means that anything can happen. And I think that the Phillies, in like one of the final years of their core being young enough to actually maybe do the thing, put it all together. We get Schwarbombs in October. It's going to be incredible. Trey Turner turning it on, JT Realmuto, maybe one more good year of what has been an outstanding career. And the Phillies take on a Red Sox team that, frankly, I did not think they had it in them. I love what they have done. And I loved the rumor that Theo Epstein was the reason that they wound up with Alex Bregman. The idea of Theo like kneecapping Jed like that, Jed Hoyer looked pained when they lost out on Bregman. And we get to watch Alex Bregman just pepper the green monster all day. It's going to be incredible. I love it. Red Sox, Phillies. It's going to be an outstanding brawler World Series.
There you go. Real quick, Sarah, 1 to 10. How much do you hate Jed Hoyer?
I want him fired 4 years ago.
I think that's 73. That's the number she'd give you.
That's the number, yeah. All right, Marty Party, it is your turn, my friend. Who is your AL NL champion? Who's winning it all? Who's taking it home?
I won't have a spicy one like everybody. Everyone's is really fun. Mine's lame. It's gonna be Dodgers and Astros. I just don't see pretty much how it's not for me. I think the veteran teams are gonna continue to do very well. That's my spicy take.
There you go. Who you got winning it all?
Dodgers.
There you go. All right, there you go. You guys heard it from Marty here. Ben, I'll shoot it over to you next, my friend. Who you got winning the AL, NL, and then who's the World Series champ?
So there's the World Series that I think in a good and just world would happen, and then the actual World Series that will happen. The actual World Series I think will happen because I've just been so disappointed over the years. It's probably something stupid like Dodgers, Red Sox, or Dodgers, Astros, or something that I'll be like, I'm not even going to watch, and then I'll watch, and I'm just a liar. In a good and just world, I would love a rematch of the 1969 World Series, Orioles, Mets. I could take that. I could see it. It could happen. You know, the geriatric squad of the pitching rotation carries us. Kyle Bradish comes back.
Grayson Rodriguez
And,
wins AL Cy Young.
Grayson Rodriguez, wins the AL Cy Young and doesn't blow out his arm. Let it happen. Let it happen. Vimael Machine comes up at some point and is like the surprise guy that nobody drafted and becomes this fantasy monster out of nowhere in the infield. Yeah,
All right. So wait, who's your World Series?
That's what happened.
Who's
in
your
reality,
World
who
Series
wins it? I think the stupid Dodgers will probably win the stupid World Series, and I'll be mad and angry about it. But yeah, they'll probably win because
all right,
we can't have nice things.
There you go. Real quick, I want to shoot it down to Mike real quick since he just joined. Bob, I'm going to get to you next. Mike, real quick. First, Mike, welcome to the Pallazzo Podcast. Thanks for joining, buddy. First off, tell everybody where they can find you, the stuff that you're working on, and then give us your AL, NL champion and the World Series champ.
I'm going to be – well, I don't really have a good answer for you because I don't really care about who wins because it's not going to be it's not going to be the Marlins. They suck, so I don't care anymore. I just watch baseball to enjoy it. But at Mike_Curland, and I'm not really doing anything much this year. Kind of learning some stuff behind the scenes to see what I can kick off next year. But so a really boring answer all the way around, I guess. But
Okay,
I am in the middle of drafting right now, for what it's worth. One last draft.
Well, let's do this. Give me your most owned player across drafts and one dude you're not drafting in any league.
So a lot of people are not drafting. The one my most owned is Drew Rasmussen, who I did get tonight because I made sure to get my guys in this final draft. And somebody let's see, there's a bunch of them. I'm trying to think of like a good one that people actually like, not like an obvious one. Bo Bichette, I faded. I'm afraid of that one at this point. Completely out though. Like I have none. And then he has a big spring, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna keep doing this and either dig a full on grave for myself, or I'll be really right.
There you go. All right. Bob, I'm going to shoot it over to you, my friend. Who is the AL NL champion? Who's the World Series champ?
So I have the Dodgers like everyone else, and the AL is who cares, right? I was looking at does anyone think any AL team is one of the top 5 teams in baseball next year?
No.
Nope.
If the Orioles would ever care enough to trade for pitching, yeah.
Well, the Orioles and the Mariners are in the stupid bet where the Orioles refuse to get a pitcher and the Mariners refuse to get a hitter, and whoever loses has to streak naked through something. I have no idea why they.
It's an obvious trade partner. Yeah, obvious trade partner. O's and Mariners there, Sam.
Or the free agent,
really
anyone.
Yeah,
they want to do Kyle Gibson and Jorge Polanco and just run it. So I'll be fun and I'll say the Royals because nobody said them yet. They have the best position player in baseball who's under 30. They have the best pitcher whose name sounds like ray guns.
All right.
Honestly, so that's the best reason I could think of to pick them. Ray guns. Yeah. Like who doesn't?
So Bob, you
don't
got
like
Royals.
Cole, but ray guns is good.
Yeah, you got Dodgers and Royals. Who you got winning all? Dodgers?
No, the Dodgers. But see, unlike everyone else, I'm not going to be mad when the Dodgers win. I'm going to be mad when they go by the 3 most expensive free agents and several prefectures in Japan. They're gonna own Okinawa for a resort camp for the players' spouses.
Right, there you go. All right, Dave, Dr. Dave, we're turning it over to you, my friend. Who you got?
So it's funny. I had not given this 1 second of thought. I literally
me too.
I'm fantasy baseball.
Well, it's going to be right.
Baseball. I'm a Guardians fan. I'm a fantasy guy. I don't really care about anything else. But I panicked, looked up a lot of stuff to try to figure out who I thought. Obviously, Dodgers in the NL, but I echo all of Sarah's sentiments. I hate them. They shouldn't be able to do this. It's dumb. I do
blame baseball for blame other owners for not being as aggressive. I'm not saying they could do exactly what the Dodgers are doing, but I really hate that we act like your ownership is one of the richest in baseball and they won't pay.
Facts.
I can be mad at everything.
I'm not saying the Dodgers are I'm not saying every team could do what the Dodgers are doing. That's not the argument. The argument is that every other team could do more.
Yep.
Every other team could do more. You will get no argument.
That's all I'm saying.
I 100% agree.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Dave.
I do think that Atlanta can give them a run for their money because they've got a really good rotation with Chris Sale, Spencer Schwellenbach, Grant Holmes, AJ Smith-Shawver, and Reynaldo Lopez. I think,
don't forget Reynaldo.
Yeah, Reynaldo, in my opinion, is probably going to be the worst of those five. So like they've got a really strong rotation, and they've got the hitting too, especially if Acuna comes back and looks somewhat like prime Acuna. I'm not expecting prime Acuna, but something resembling that. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be the Dodgers running away with it. I think they should be the favorite, but I think Atlanta's got a real shot. I think the AL is wide open. I do agree with Marty. I think Houston has the best shot based on their rotation. Is really good with Framber and Hunter Brown, Arrighetti, Blanco, and Wisniewski. And they don't have Kyle Tucker there anymore, but they did bring in Christian Walker and Isak Paredes, who can both just pound homers down into the Crawford boxes, pulling them. It should be a really good team. So I think the Astros are probably the most likely, but it's still wide open there. I could see anybody from the Mariners to the Guardians to the Orioles. Any of those teams could win it. I'll go with the Dodgers winning the World Series over the Astros, but I think it's possible it's the Braves versus someone else.
There you go.
Has anybody put in the Yankees or Boston in it yet?
No, fuck that.
Yeah.
Has anybody talked about Texas? I feel like I know Texas is full of injury-prone older guys.
Is going to be dead by May.
That's the problem. I tend to that, but they did it without but they won it without these guys 2 years ago. So
their offense is a beast. So
and that's what I'm getting at. So I mean, granted, their bullpen I can only named 2 players. But
So I think the Yankees are actually their pitching situation is bad. I am very concerned. If I were a Yankees fan, I would be incredibly concerned about Marcus Stroman as my number 3 starter. That is, I like Marcus Stroman as much as anyone on the planet, and that is wild and should not happen.
I mean, Will Warren is their actual number 3. He's much better than Stroman, but yes, it's going to be hard times for their rotation.
Yeah, but Carlos Carrasco, shout out Guardians. He's back in the mix, baby. If
Carlos Carrasco can keep his ERA under 10, it'll be a miracle in that stadium.
Hey, Dr. Dave, when I first played my very first season ever playing fantasy baseball, I came to it late, was 2015, and my lineup was my pitchers were Corey Kluber, Carlos Carrasco, Trevor Bauer, Danny Salazar. Does that ring any bells?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I remember all those guys. And they
were a 200K starting 5 were those guys.
Danny Salazar could never stay healthy. It was too bad because he was very talented, but dude could not stay healthy. But the Kluber Carrasco years were pretty awesome to see.
They were fun. And who would have thought 10 years later, Carlos Carrasco's in the starting rotation out of those guys in the starting rotation for the Yankees?
Yeah. That is wild.
That's more of an indication of how bad the Yankees pitching is.
And we traded Kluber for Emmanuel Clase, so there we go.
Yeah.
I will say, we brought up Acuna, and I wanted to be nice and let others talk for 1 second, but the man is now the first ever major league player to be the face of Nike underwear. So just saying,
Good to know.
Why does underwear have a face, Ben?
This is a really good question.
Whose face is on the what?
The best tweet of the whole thing is Mark Bowman, the Braves beat guy for MLB.com. Posted a retweet of the tweet that announced this and says, "Oh, sure, that's how you find out you don't get the job." So I thought that was a great little bit.
There you go.
If any of you know Mark and I would probably fit in the same size shirt. So it's
all right, Chad, give it to us, buddy. Who you got? AL, NL, and then who you got the World Series champ? You're on mute, dude.
I clicked it. I must have clicked it twice. On this very show last year, I said 2 things in this segment. I said the Royals rotation might be the deepest in MLB and would take them deep into the playoffs, and it did. I also said the A's were scrappier than they looked and would look a lot like the 23 Pirates, and they did. This year, I'm saying 2 things. The Dodgers will be out early. They don't have the rotation depth they need. And I don't think they're going to find the trade partners at the deadline. The Nationals' offense is the most dynamic in the National League, and it will carry them to the World Series.
Oh, wow.
I love what they did bringing in the power bats with Josh Bell and Nate Lowe. Cade Cavalli's going to come back soon. A little nervous because we lost DJ Pump Up the Hurts for a couple of years now. It looks like he's headed for Tommy John.
You're burying the lead on all this, man. Dylan Cruz and James Wood. Those are the guys that are going to pump up.
We
the
all know.
Nationals, not freaking Josh Bell and
Wait.
the throwaway from the Rangers.
We have now talked about the Phillies. We've talked about the Braves. And now we brought up the Nationals. And we're not talking about the Mets at all.
Listen,
That's
I'm the resident Mets fan here. I still remember 3 weeks ago when we were going to trade Brett Beatty for Marcus Stroman. Thank God that didn't happen.
I'm just saying they signed Juan Soto. They Clay Holmes looks like the real deal as a frontline starter. Like the Mets might actually do something this year.
I'm worried about his innings, though. I don't know how many innings he'll be able to throw as a full-time starter in his first year.
Over under on Clay Holmes innings. What do you say? 90. When's
I'm not a Clay Holmes believer. That might be my biggest fade this year.
All of this is irrelevant because Metsing is a verb, and we all know exactly what it means. And if your team is of the level that your name has been turned into a verb, I have no hope for you. Sorry.
In the AL, I won't go,
Chad, real quick,
AL,
give us your AL.
I won't go as far as Sam did. I don't think I can put the A's in the World Series. I do think they win that division, though, because that's a race to lose the division almost every year. I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox. I'm going to go with the big three there. They now, I think, have the best rotation in baseball if everyone's healthy.
I think
Brian
Seattle
Bayo's going to make a huge step forward. Giolito could be a huge bounce back. Crochet's crochet.
Has Brian Bayo stepped out of the hospital bed yet? Is that the thing that happened?
He's got one leg out. The catheter's still in, but he's got one leg out.
So, Chad, who you got winning it all there of those two teams? You got Boston and you got...
And I think the Red Sox are just... There's too much experience there in the rotation. I think their ability to do what experienced teams do late in the postseason where they can piggyback starters with other starters is going to carry them over the Nationals.
Their top three are great. Crochet, Houck, and Bueller, but Richard Fitz and Sean Newcomb. Y'all remember Sean Newcomb?
They're only there for a week.
Hey, you put respect on Dick
I don't know,
Fitz's
man.
name. You put respect on his name.
I'm a big
Bayo's supposed to be back in about 2 weeks, and Giolito's rehabbing already.
Yeah, Giolito.
So maybe 2 starts out of each of those guys before they're gone.
I don't know.
All right. So real quick, because we only got 2 minutes, I'm going to go on record of saying my World Series real quick. I'm going to go with Braves coming out of the NL, and I'm going to go with I'm going to agree with Chad here. I'm going to take the Red Sox coming out of the AL and Braves winning it all. I think the offense gets back on track with Austin Riley and Ronald Acuna, Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies. If everybody stays healthy on that side of the on the offense, I think the Braves have a good a chance as anybody competing in the NL and taking.
Can I put a little disclaimer on Mike V? Yeah. The only reason he's saying that is because he drafted Ronald Acuna everywhere.
No. I drafted him once.
That's 100% it.
No.
I don't know if Sarah watched, but her Cubs got to see Spencer Strider and how he looks now.
Love
recently,
him.
And he is right now. They just had a comment that he very well will make April starts, And I don't know that anyone was thinking that when we first started draft season.
It's a great pick. All those Braves are going to bounce back. Riley, Olsen,
How about all?
Ozuna. Yeah, give me the who do the Braves start with opening day tomorrow? I'm betting the over. Profar,
5 homers.
I will say, I think the
They're facing
Strider
the
injury
Padres.
situation is probably the one I'm most optimistic about in baseball. I'm more optimistic about Spencer Strider after what we've seen and how they talked about his injury and how they were like very clear. This is distinct from like a torn ligament. It's like a bone in the ligament type of situation. I don't know. Everything we've heard, and we don't usually get good news like that. We certainly don't get very transparent telling us, no, this is what it is exactly. I feel like Spencer Strider is going to be a monster, and I have him in a couple places, and I'm very happy about it.
And you got him probably late too, right? Like what round did Spencer Strider go into any of y'all's drafts?
I'm guessing 10 to 12, but I'd have to go look at the board.
Yeah.
Not in high stakes drafts. He was he went in round 4.
I was just gonna say it as you got farther in the spring and it looked like he was gonna pitch earlier and earlier, he went that 3rd, 4th round area quite often.
I'm way out at that cost. So you guys can enjoy. I will
I'm going to enjoy when he pitches my Braves through the World Series because last year they had Jack Crap to pitch in the playoffs. So
I'm going to enjoy when Grant Holmes pitches your Braves.
Hey, I would too. I love Grant Holmes. That is
eastbound and down. Kenny Powers, Grant Holmes coming at you.
Mullet power, baby. Let's go.
Hey, Dr. Dave, when you were out in Vegas doing the high stakes stuff, did you ever venture down to the table games? Like, did you ever play any of the, go down to the Vegas floors, any of that?
Did I play what?
Like craps, roulette, poker,
we played
blackjack.
Yeah, we played
war.
We played
war.
No war, no Uno.
That was a Christmas Las Vegas vacation or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, real quick, I want to thank everybody.
Bob's? Did we get Bob's stuff?
Yeah.
Fixed?
Yeah,
we did.
We got his. Yeah.
Okay.
Where is Govier for Bozo Fest? Did I miss that?
Shout out Gove. He's got some personal stuff going on. And
obviously
that's right.
I didn't know that.
Putting that out there. Yeah.
Way to go, Dave.
He was in the live chat earlier. But yeah. Shout out Gove. Obviously. Yeah, Bozo Fest not the same without you. I want to thank everybody that came on. We're coming up on 2 hours. I did want to keep the show to 2. I want to thank everybody that came on. Sarah, Bob, Dave, Chad, Mike, and all the previous people that were on the show as well. Thank you guys very much for joining our 4th annual Bozo Fest. Make sure you're following all these people on the screen here on Twitter, Blue Sky.
Meanwhile, I have the biggest following here, asshole.
That is so random.
Mike Curlin also has the thickest skin of any human being in the history of fantasy baseball.
Is that a fat joke?
You could stab him with a spear, and I swear to God, it would glide off him like water off a duck's
And
back.
we've all thought about doing it many times. No, I've known Curlin for a while. Like, we're friends.
Unfortunately,
part of it is just so.
Yeah, why don't you bring up Mike has one of the best dogs in the world?
I hate that dog. I love him, but I hate him.
But Mike, Britton, Ben, Sam, thanks so much for hosting. You guys did a great job, especially without your fearless leader here today. So thanks for having us on and doing a great job providing this for the fantasy community.
Appreciate it having all of you guys there. For anybody that's watching, make sure you like, subscribe, do all that good stuff with our YouTube. We've got the drive to 2K subscribers going on right now. So put out the word, make it happen. I guess though, do we want to do last thoughts, or are we going to just shout out right now?
Last thoughts. Anyone has any gambling tips for me? Because my DraftKings account is raring to go, and I'm kind of thinking Sonny Gray is going to explode and give the Twins a win. Yeah, he topped out at like 91 miles per hour. I'm all about betting against.
Betting against him. Okay.
Yeah.
I have one tip. I have one tip for you that might actually be more useful than betting against.
Sarah, I've got my pen ready. I'm
Cool.
ready.
So there's a friend of mine who is in the bleachers almost every day at Wrigley Field. His name is Bleacher Jeff. And whenever the Cubs play a home game, he does a flag check and tells you if the wind is blowing in, if the wind is blowing out, if it's blowing out to left. He does like a little video, and you can see if the wind is blowing out to left or blowing out to right. Bet the over when the wind is blowing out, bet the under when the wind is blowing in, and set your days when you want to stack Cubs based on those flags.
So where do I find out if the wind is blowing in or out? Who's this gentleman or
At Bleacher Jeff on Twitter. Every home game at Wrigley will do a video either from outside the ballpark or from the left field well, where he'll be like, hey, flag check at Wrigley, game 27. Wind is blowing out to right. And you can, honest to God, it is. I mean, it's not perfect, but trust me, it's better than most metrics in terms of figuring out when you want to stack Cubs or when you want to bet the over or under.
Sure, the wind changes, I'm sure, maybe inning by inning, but it's
pretty static for most games. Like, there are days where it's swirling, but most days it's like the wind is blowing in, the wind is blowing out, the wind is neutral.
Anyway, if a gentleman is known by Bleacher Jeff, I trust him because he's Bleacher Jeff. Totally.
So, Britton, if you can go back to 1994.
Yes.
And take Tuffy Rhodes. That is a really good pick. So I just want to let you know that.
Well, 1994, that was my I was into the grunge, Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Mudhoney, things of that nature. But no, I wasn't into baseball yet.
You've gone from grunge to that artwork behind you, Britton. 18-year-old Britton would be so disappointed.
I'm so happy you mentioned
so
this.
Disappointed.
I'm so happy you mentioned this. Okay, this is from my collection. Mark Rothkis. I don't know if you've heard of him. Very famous. I'm kidding. I got that at Target. I don't know what that is.
I love it. I love it. Well, Chad, are you yelling at us? Because you're muted.
I don't know why it keeps doing that. It keeps remuting. Bryn, I got you. Look me right in the eyes. You look ready? Christian Campbell, AL MVP.
Campbell, MVP. All right.
He's going to make Red Sox fans say Mookie who?
No, that will never happen. He's going to I want to see him in October because I don't think the Red Sox will ever get over the Mookie Betts thing. If I was a Red Sox fan
to get over Mookie Betts things.
Well, you know, he can't keep weight on. That poor guy's been sick for the last month. So, well, on behalf of all of us here at the podcast, I love showing off your shaved head. There you go.
Yeah, I was to say. So Sam, my one big crazy pick this year, and I've said it a few times, I'm going to say it again just to make Sam feel good about life. That would be that Cole Young is your AL Rookie of the Year.
I'll take it. The Mariners' only chance to be successful this year is to play the kids and have them do something. That's where I'm at with that.
He is such a high floor type of guy. I don't think that he's a sexy guy long term for fantasy or anything like that, but he's the type of guy that'll come up and hit 280, 290 with, a whole bunch of doubles. But more than anything, he'll play a stable second base or shortstop, wherever it is that they end up putting him. And he's going to be nice for them early in the year, I would say.
I'll take it.
I do not trust Ryan Bliss at all. Not at all. Not one single bit. So
I only trust what I see with my eyes, and I got to wait for him to play, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow is opening day for everybody other than the Dodgers and the Cubs, but I'm sure even Sarah doesn't consider the games that happened in Japan to be real games. We got to be here in the stadium.
They haven't won yet. So I mean,
listen. Actually, I'll be fine if they lose. I want Jed Hoyer fired more than anything.
It's the theme of today's show.
Fire Jed. If you didn't hear anything else, listeners, fire Jed Hoyer.
Jed Hoyer.
Fuck that guy. So, on behalf of everybody here with Pallazzo, Britton, Benjamin, and Mike, we've got Bob Dole, Sarah, Dave, and Chad that made it to the end. Peace and love.
Thank you, guys. Bob Dole, good to see your face. Dr. Dave, good to see you again. See you in Arizona, Dr. Dave. Cacti.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, baby.